Hey, what's going on, Summoners? My name is Crumbs and I'll be your host for our upcoming changes video for patch 1221. Together, we'll go through the changes coming up next patch, so make sure to stay tuned. With the preseason slowly approaching, we're gonna begin seeing bigger changes in the near future. But for now, we do have a good number of champion changes to cover. Also, make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any future content like this, and let's get started. Beginning with the upcoming content, let's talk about some new skins. Alongside K'Sante's release, we're expecting a new line of Empyrean skins for K'Sante, a prestige version for himself, Jax, Jhin, Lux, Pyke, Vex, Zac, and Zed. Make sure to check them out, they're pretty cool and also a little bit edgy. Next, let's talk about balance changes. We don't have too many of these coming up, but we can start with the top lane and Rumble. He's set to receive some last hitting assistance, which might not seem like a huge buff, but that also translates to more pushing power. This is one of those small buffs that are actually a lot bigger than they seem. When he's able to push harder, Rumble can be an oppressive beast, especially since he doesn't rely on mana. Next, let's talk about a couple of junglers. As he's been heavily underperforming, Xin Zhao is set to receive a buff as well. His passive AD ratio is being increased at later levels, passive AP healing ratio increased, and E cooldown decreased. This provides a decent amount of extra combat power. Take note of that buff to his E, as it can mean that in mid and late game teamfights, he can more consistently dash to his target twice, or maybe even 3 times. Next is a nerf for Bel'veth, who's currently a dominant force on Summoner's Rift. As they're currently destroying the ladder at all ranks, Riot finally decided something needed to be done. Their E's cooldown is being increased and Ultimate's Voidling health reduced. Increasing the E cooldown makes it a bigger commitment, as the next time you can cast it will be a bit further off. With reducing Voidling health, there's less oppressive pushing power that enemies have to deal with. Before moving forward, I also want to quickly shout out our coaching staff over at ProGuides.com. They've helped countless students rank up, and if you need help mastering a champion or learning strategies to help you climb, feel free to reach out to one of them. That covers our jungle changes, so let's talk about the mid lane next. In the mid lane, we have a few buffs to cover, starting with Ahri. She's set to receive buffs to her Q through lowered mana costs and more damage. Not only is that more combat power, it's also more pushing power. Being able to push in lanes is a huge deal in the mid lane, and given that Ahri can reliably hit the majority of the wave with her Q, this is a big buff in terms of gameplay impact. She should be able to set up roams more easily with this buff, or simply win harder when the player is doing well. As a designated scaling mid laner, Corki is set to receive increased stats in the late game. Both his health growth and AD growth are going up next patch. It's a straightforward change that'll make him more potent in the later stages of the game. Finally, Malzahar is also set to receive some last hitting assistance. This should help players pick up more gold early on and hit those item power spikes a little bit faster than before. Performance-wise, he's currently weak given the context of his simple design. And that covers the mid lane, so let's wrap it up with bot lane changes. There are a couple of overpowered bot laners Riot is planning to target next patch. The first one is Miss Fortune, who has been gatekeeping other champions out of the meta. She's a powerful laner who is able to pick up huge leads while also ensuring her opponents aren't able to acquire the resources they need to have an impact in the game. Oddly enough, she's actually receiving some AP ratio buffs while also receiving a nerf to her E slow. As AP Miss Fortune isn't popular by any means, most players will only experience that change to her E next patch. A reduced slow makes her a bit easier to get away from and also means players will take less damage since they can more easily escape from the ability. Finally, Blitzcrank is also receiving a nerf. This one was to be expected. Even after the last set of changes, he's still far too powerful as a support. Next up, he's having his base health reduced as well as his W's bonus attack speed reduced. Jungle Blitzcrank, which is already a bit weaker, will take a big hit from this nerf as well. But something had to be done, given that he's arguably the best support in the game right now. That's it. That covers the upcoming changes for next patch. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and feel free to share your thoughts and any feedback you have for us in the comment section below. You can also join our Discord server via the link in the description. Take care everyone, and as always, good luck on the Rift, and may the LP gods smile down upon you.